Oh my God, look at me. I am live on the air. I still have problems since I've started doing this that I don't know when the video is actually starting. I mean, I know it says it's live, and then is it really live? Anyway, here I am. You're all probably watching an ad first. Thank you. Please continue to support our advertisers. We appreciated it when we had a radio show. And I promise you, we appreciate your support of advertisers even more now that we don't have a show. But when I say we don't have a show, I mean, you know, we'll always have YouTube, won't we? It's lovely. It really is. Anyway, people have clued into the fact that in advance, you can post a question a little bit early. So if you look up, if you're not on YouTube, you can look up in the upper corner right over here. You'll see something that looks like a keypad. And with the keypad, when you press it, then you have the ability to ask your questions, or you could you can vote up other people's questions. So I have some topics on my ratty old thing, and I don't have a lot of time because I'm gonna have to pick up Mike at the train. So I know last time I went on way too long and I was like, I was gonna do 10 minutes. And then I went for like 5.5 hours. So don't worry, this will legitimately be short because I actually have to run the fuck out of here. So let me burn through a couple of these questions, and then we will, I'll get to my topics, and then we'll get the fuck out of here and get on with our lives, shall we? Okay, let's start with our first question. Keith says, hi from Denver. Okay, hi. That was easy. Frank says, watching a makeup ad just for Derek. Well, the moment I wake up, before I put on my makeup, I say a little prayer for you, Frank. Speaking of Frank. So you know Carol. I love Frank DeCaro. He's one of my favorite people. Not just at SiriusXM, I mean like anywhere I love Frank. So Frank today posted on Facebook that the actor Patrick McNee died. He was in the Avengers, the TV series in the 60s, not the shitty late 90s movie with Uma Thurman. Although she looks good in a catsuit for sure. So anyway, so he posted about how Patrick McNee died at 93. And I said, he old. And Frank responded, you know, don't tell everyone that he played Cher once like I did when Christopher Lee died. They'll all jump down your throat. And I wrote back, Frank, it's always so sad when your contemporaries die. That joke is better with applause. Dylan has a very important question. This is the best thing. Well, that's not really a question, but I have to agree, Dylan, you're right. That is pretty much the best thing. Canary Judge says, is the video supposed to refresh? Are they live now? Well, I am live now. I'm not dead. Despite what you might have heard, despite the way it seems like everyone's talking about me as if I died, I'm still very much alive. In a Max Headroom kind of a way. Anyway, there you go. First question from Michael Moose. He says, what do you think of the SCOTUS rulings today? Michael, it's very interesting because I was reading an article maybe a day or two ago about how this has been one of the more liberal terms for the Supreme Court in recent years, especially since John Roberts came in. And even though some of their biggest rulings hadn't come yet, it still wasn't going to play out, even if all the rest of them were very conservative rulings, it wasn't going to play out as a particularly conservative season. And then today we had two, what we would consider, since the liberal justices were in the majority, to be more liberal results in both cases. Antonin Scalia had his panties in a twist, so that usually means it's a liberal result. Not always, because, you know, he's very good friends with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And so sometimes they align, but very rarely. Anyway, so I was very pleased about it. The Obamacare ruling, I thought, was really much a no-brainer. I mean, honestly, why would you write a 55,000-page law and then write all those rules for something that you never intended to be there? It see, that's nonsense. It was a typo, and they made the right ruling. So I'm happy about that. And then we'll see. Friday is June 26th, which is the anniversary of Lawrence versus Texas, which was the 2003 sodomy case. And June 26th, tomorrow, is also the anniversary of the Windsor ruling 2 years ago. And they don't normally have Friday sessions. So I think that this means that we're going to get our ruling, and it's going to be tomorrow. I bet my friend, Brian Gianelli from XfinityTV.com, $1. And you know how Romaine and I are. When we're serious, we bet $1. We're cheap. Brett has a question. Brett says, are you waking up earlier in the morning now that you aren't working at night? Oh my God. I got up this morning. Are you ready for this? 7:15. Mike hadn't even left for work yet. Ugh. Come on. I don't even know. The house looks so weird in the morning, and it took me a while to realize it's because the light is different. It's coming in from a different direction. It's so creepy. I'm not a fan. I mean, my house is lovely. Day and night, as you can see from my gorgeous, gorgeous wrapper. Oh. Applause. Applause. I have so much good taste. What other questions do we have? Craig has a good question. Craig says, would you consider having listeners ask their questions via webcam, just like the good old days when listeners would call in and you would hang up on them? Craig, that's an excellent question. And Romaine and I are still figuring out this technology. I'm not super sophisticated when it comes to technology. Romaine is even worse than I am. I can't even imagine. So this is taking a little getting used to. Probably by the time we get to the end of our 4-week commitment to these videos, then it'll be sophisticated enough where I'll be able to invite people in by webcam and then they can ask their questions and whatever. But for now, no, I don't. But that's a good try, Craig. Jason Queen, who was on our last cruise. Hi, Jason. Craig was on the cruise too, obviously. But anyway, sorry to single you out. Jason, nice to see you. I mean, hi at the camera. I keep answering people's questions to where the question is written, like it's them there. I see that little icon, and then I'm like, I'm staring directly at you. But I realize I'm still getting used to where I'm supposed to look. Am I supposed to look at the camera? Am I supposed to look where the question is? Am I supposed to look off in like a middle distance? Should I just look straight ahead? I think straight ahead. Actually, vote on what you think where I should look. Because I think it looks more natural if I'm just sort of looking straight ahead as opposed to whatever. I'm still getting used to my program. Jason asks, what did you and Romaine do in the city yesterday? All right, look. I know Romaine got on Periscope and she's like, I'm coming to the city. We're having a big meeting. The meeting was between the two of us because, it had been a week and we needed to, meet up and talk to each other. We don't live close to each other. It's more convenient to meet in the city. So we met in the city. And I started getting emails from people and they're like, who's your meeting with? How did it go? What's happening? Do you have a new show? And I'm like, Romaine, what the fuck? And she's like, oh, well, I just wanted to let people know that we were active and we hadn't forgotten about them and we're trying to work things out and everything. I'm like, yeah, but you filled them all with false hope. Like we were signing on the dotted line somewhere and then we were going to have a colossal announcement. And I was like, no. You're getting the cart way ahead of the horse. So I will just say this, what we said last week, and what I will continue to say. We will have some kind of definitive answer by the end of next month, because that's when we're going to decide on the cruise. And so we will have some kind of sense of whether or not Derek and Romaine as an entity is continuing. And if it is, then we will probably do the cruise. So give us a month. I know everyone is impatient. They get in their car and the show isn't there and they want something to be there. And I feel for you. I really, really do. I want you to know I'm an egomaniac who loves to hear my own voice. Trust me. I also miss talking as much as you miss listening. I probably miss talking more than you miss listening because sometimes, some days better than others. But you're here, you're listening, you're watching now. So obviously you care. And I want you to know we care too with my gay hands. And As soon as we have an answer, we will let you know. But emailing us constantly will not help. Also, I'll tell you this. Remember Jared in Los Angeles? He also was on the last cruise. So we posted on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube. I think Romaine and I have made it pretty clear that we don't have a show anymore. Also, the show's not airing. And so it's pretty clear that our show is gone. So we get an email today from Jared in Los Angeles. He writes to me, hey, usually when you guys go on vacation, there's a best of show, but now it's music. Have you guys been canceled? I hope not. Let me know. How is this a colossal mystery? I mean, I understand the first time you get in your car and it's not there, like, oh, I've been away and then I got in and then it wasn't there. But how is it that you have no other way to find out what is happening in the world without emailing me directly? Because the information is there. It's right there. Okay, let's move on. JeanMarie, this question got voted up the most. Doesn't the local library have computer help for senior citizens? Why, thank you. How thoughtful. I will look into that when I'm a senior citizen 5 years from now. Let's go to Jason. Jason says, I like your mid-century modern decor, and that gift wrapping table is so Westchester housewife of you. Why, thank you, Jason. It's actually a Martha Stewart. I plug Martha every time. That costs extra. This is a Martha Stewart wrap station. I bought it online, and they shipped it to my house, and I love it. It's great. It's very practical. You know how that Martha is. I mean, it's nonsense, but it's also practical, which is basically the Martha Stewart mantra for everything. Of like, is it ridiculous to make a 7-tier cake with hot icing splashed all over it like a fountain? Yes. Is it wonderful? You bet. But it's not practical. But anyway, thank you. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Dale's Counsel and Advice Service, who has provided me neither counsel nor advice. Seattle is painting some of the crosswalks with rainbow colors. What is New York doing for this year's Pride festivities? Well, we're turning a little place called the Stonewall Inn into a historic place. It's going to get protected status as a historic place. And since we were the foundation, the beginning of the modern gay civil rights movement, I think we can rest on those laurels for a little while, but feel free to paint the road if that makes you feel better. No, we're gonna have our huge parade. Frank DeCaro is hosting some kind of, he's in some web series called, I can never remember what anything is. Spooners? I think that's what it is. Yesterday I was on Periscope. I couldn't remember the name of the coffee place inside Grand Central. I thought it was Archer Farms, and then somebody reminded me that's the in-house coffee brand at Target. It's not that. Although Archer Farms is delicious. It's Irving Farms. Boy, jeez. So embarrassing. Anyway, delicious. And I was going to Periscope about it from the Irving Farms station there in Grand Central, but I couldn't get any fucking service. What's this country coming to when you can't get 4G service in a basement of a 100-year-old building? Okay. Whatever. I'm seeing lots of questions from the same tired people. I think this is Nome, but it says Expedia cruise ship centers. You should look gaily forward, not straight ahead. Well, it's pretty gay, no matter how I do it, no matter which direction it is. Let's see what else we have. Here's another question. This one's from Fran. Fran says, is anyone else having volume too low issues here? Too much traffic, maybe? I don't think so. I mean, it might be this computer that the settings are low. Maybe you just have your volume down. I don't know. Somebody else posted no issues here. So it might just be you, Fran. Sorry, Fran. Look, I could barely figure out when this video was beginning, so I can't help you with tech support. For sure. Brian S. says, given today's ruling on Obamacare, how do you think Roberts will vote tomorrow? I think Roberts is going to vote with the majority because he sees the direction that things are going. The cat's out of the bag. And he didn't have any problem saying tough titty to the conservatives on the court today with the Obamacare ruling. I think that everybody sees what we see inside the gay community, which is 10 years from now, 20 years from now, people are going to be embarrassed that this was an issue. I mean, I feel this way about the Confederate battle flag. I mean, all sorts of people are like, oh my God, I can't believe this is still happening, that there are still places where this is flying. You know, the war ended 150 years ago. It might be time to move on. You don't see me in a hoop skirt. Oh, well, maybe for Halloween. So I think we'll go favorably. I think it's going to be 6-3. That's what I think. And we're going to get what we want. And it'll be on Friday. What else have we got? I still have topics here I haven't gotten to. And I'm short on time. Okay. I'll get back to the questions. Start looking at the questions. And I'll vote them up. And then we'll see what we have. But I wanted to mention the breaking news that Bristol Palin has announced that she's pregnant. Remember, she was pregnant while her mother was on the campaign trail 6 years ago and they were running for president, and then she became engaged to that Levi Johnson. They never got married. And then she went on an abstinence-only campaign tour. She became the spokeswoman for abstinence only, which seemed a little strange to me. It's a little bit of the, you know, locking the barn door after the horse is gone. But anyway, so that was happening. Well, then she was engaged to this war hero, which is terrific. He's very handsome, good for them. But then a couple of weeks ago, Sarah Palin announced that their marriage was not happening, although they haven't made it clear if they've broken up or whatever. They're just not getting married. Anyway, now she's pregnant. And she made a blog post, and she said in her blog post that she basically didn't want to hear from anyone about it. She didn't want to hear a lecture, and she didn't want sympathy. And I don't know what you know about abstinence-only education, but it's pretty much just a lecture. That's it. Don't have sex. That's it. Better not have sex. You know, my niece, who recently graduated from high school without getting pregnant, she's not even a Palin. This was our form of birth control. Oh my God, you have no idea how fast the women in this family get pregnant. Don't get pregnant. Anyway, it worked in our family. I don't know why it doesn't work in others. I guess that's just their business. Let's see what other questions are here. As I said before, when you take the high road, it's so much easier to look down on other people from there. Let's go now to Michael and his question. What are your thoughts on all of the Confederate flag protests? Well, I mean, I was kind of surprised. It was a little bit of a bait and switch issue because, I mean, it's a terrible tragedy. All these people got shot. This individual was obviously deeply disturbed. And there was a certain amount of like Confederate white power paraphernalia around him and everything. And I mean, I'm not saying that it is a distant way to go to taking down the flag. And I certainly think that, I mean, it's long overdue, let's face it. It should have gone to a museum quite some time ago. Perhaps the 1870s or earlier. So a while ago. But I think that many conservatives have jumped on the notion of taking the flag down because then the conversation shifts away from guns and goes to racism. And so I guess if they take the flag down, then other people won't get shot. So I have to say, it's better than nothing happening because in other instances, we've had these horrible tragedies and nothing has happened afterward. I think that if at the very least what happens is the Confederate flag is taken down all over the South, then you know, it will be something of a victory. Let's go back to your questions. Such a serious subject. Douglas has a question. When you do set up tech support, please don't make it an overseas call center. Oh, don't worry, Douglas, it won't be. Here's our version of tech support. I make a little video that you watch that explains to you how this bullshit works. Because I watched a video that was 20 minutes long that explained how this bullshit works. And so then I made a video for you that is 1 minute long, and then I still get fucking questions. Maybe I should have made a video that was 20 minutes long. Oh wait, I already did. It's happening right now. But I haven't explained shit. What else have we got? So many things. Oh, Fran, who had asked the question before getting here, says, sorry I'm late. Your lighting is 83.6% better. Fran, I want you to know I haven't touched anything. Although I do have a different filter here. It's called Warm. Isn't that nice? It feels nice. Okay, what else we got? I feel like I want to, yeah, I got to delete some of these questions. Oh. Dun, dun, dun. This is, oh, it's much harder than it looks. Okay, here we go. Brian says, I like grapes. So we're going to talk about Ben Affleck and this Finding Your Roots show on PBS. Apparently PBS has put it on hiatus now because of the whole flap where it turned out that Ben Affleck had ancestors who were slave owners, and then he was like, I'd rather not that be in there. And then it wasn't. Oops. Meanwhile, I want you to know in all my genealogy searching, which is why I'm interested in this story naturally, no slave owners in my family because nobody really came here. I had 2 ancestors who came here before 1861, and they came in 1854, and they were dirt fucking poor. Well, my ancestors came from Bohemia, from literally a shack by a river in the middle of nowhere. And if you look at it now, it's still a shack by a river in the middle of nowhere. The house that they lived in the 1850s, it's still fucking there. I don't even think they painted it. So my family came, these 2 ancestors, they were brothers, and they came in the 1840s together. And according to this heavy old book I have, the Bohemians, when they came to Chicago, basically squatted on someone's land in like squatter shacks, lean-tos, and then they worked in lumber yards for pennies until they could save up enough money to buy a house. It's kind of a sad Dickensian beginning. And by the way, they both came with like wives and kids, like a baby. Here I am with a baby, and now we're going to sleep on the ground somewhere while I work in a lumber yard. Ugh, a horrible way to live. Ugh, they probably thought it was great too. Well, it's better than that shack by the river, I'm sure they told themselves. So then they lived in Chicago, and then one of them fought in the Civil War for the North. Lincoln was from Illinois. They had the Republican Convention in 1860 in Chicago, and quite a number of local Chicago Republicans were very concerned about Missouri because the state of Missouri, St. Louis was a Republican stronghold that wanted to go with the North if war broke out. But the rest of Missouri was rural and wanted to go with the South. So the concern is that if war broke out with a secessionist governor, that the armory in St. Louis would get taken over by the Confederacy, would open up a second front in the war out west. So secret militias formed before the war in Illinois of men who were willing to fight or basically run down to Missouri and protect the armory if there was a threat of war. And so my 3rd great grandfather, Jacob Christopher, was one of those people. He was in the Missouri 5th, and his regiment was a failure, basically. I don't think they won a single battle, but he lived and he fought on the right side of history, and I'm very proud, but I didn't have anything to do with it. Contrary to popular belief, I was not there. Bitches are so mean. Mike T has a question about our old show. If you get a show on regular radio, how many times in the first 15 minutes will you have to use the dump button? Well, I can actually go a fair amount of time without swearing. You'll have to ask Romaine that question. She's much harder with it. She thinks she can't even hear herself when she's swearing now. You know that, right? She, our listener, Don in Orlando, he made a little thing that used to run during the breaks where Romaine's like, I'm not dirty. And then it was her talking about building her shed or something. And it was her saying, you know, fuck this, shit that, every 2 seconds. So yeah, the person you have to ask is Romaine. I'm a dignified person, you cunt. How dare you? Let's go. What else have we got? Oh my God. Brett says, hoop skirt can show off your legs. You know what? You know I'm in shorts, so I hardly need to work. All right, we're running very short on time. Chris says, a virgin birth for sure for Bristol Palin. Oh, Lord. Canary Judge says, no, Derek, I just wrote that I had to refresh. You're the worst. You're welcome. Carolyn says, my folks had slaves, a handful. Well, I'm sorry. Guess that's, wait, your folks? How old are you? Your parents had slaves? Carolyn, I just don't know. I don't know. Octavio's question, how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? About a half a cord. Oh, Frank, I'm glad you asked this question. Mr. D, are you a fan of Nina Simone? There's an interesting new documentary just out about her life and work, Not a Shy Lady. I love Nina Simone. Mississippi, goddamn. There is a documentary. It opened on Wednesday in like New York for qualifying for the Oscars and everything. And then I believe it's on Netflix this Friday. And I read about that. I'm glad you mentioned it because I will mention it too. If you have Netflix, which you should because they advertise on our show, I love Netflix and I'm on there all the time. I mean, I don't have a show, but I'm a frequent customer. But this Nina Simone documentary has gotten rave reviews, and I'm very much looking forward to it. So I highly recommend it. For those of you youngsters who are not familiar with Nina Simone, she was a singer, mostly in the 50s and 60s, who was an outspoken advocate for civil rights and equality. And she and many other people felt that because she fought so vigorously for her rights that it hindered her ability to have a successful commercial musical career, which is probably true. But, you know, a wonderful gifted singer. And let's face it, you know, as nice as having a #1 song is, having equality. So there you go. Nina Simone did the right thing because we can still enjoy her music now and equality. Let's see, what else? Okay, Carolyn wants to clarify kinfolk, not her actual parents. Thank God, because either she was 180 years old or her parents were involved in some kind of terrible white slave ring. I'd be so embarrassed. All right, well, I feel like we have gone 30 minutes. We're nearly out of time. One last thing that I wanted to mention, there's a new sci-fi series called Killjoys. Luke McFarlane, who has been on our show, who has listened to our show, who is hot as fuck. That's not a secret, by the way, in case you're wondering. Luke McFarlane is hot as fuck, and he is in this new show on Sci-Fi called Killjoys. And I think last Friday was the first episode, so they'll probably rerun it and everything. It won't take long to catch up. He has his shirt off for most of the pilot episode. And Aaron Ashmore is in it, Sean Ashmore's twin brother. People are always posting pictures on Twitter like, oh my God, it was so great meeting you. And then they respond, that was my brother. Anyway, Aaron Ashmore is in it playing Luke McFarlane's brother. And they're like bounty hunters. It's a sci-fi show. So it's in space in another time and space. And they're bounty hunters. And Luke McFarlane is hot and heterosexual. Thumbs up. He's really delightful. He's the sweetest person and so hot. So anyway, we watched that. And then also they had a new pilot for a show called Dark Matter on Sci-Fi. They're bringing back Sci-Fi Fridays. And if you're at all a sci-fi person, actually both of the pilots were not terrible. So Mike and I are in. You know what? It's summertime, The Last Ship. You know how I love a good craptastic summer show. So get yourself into the summer mood and watch Killjoys at Dark Matter, Sci-Fi Fridays. And everybody enjoy, speaking of Friday, June 26th, which I predict people will want to declare a national gay holiday. Look, this is the perfect scenario. National gay holiday. It's on a Friday because all the other holidays are on Mondays. Who cares? Everybody wants a 3-day weekend that's a Friday. And it'll be in June, so it won't interfere with the schools and the kids and what have you. And so it won't be like, you're trying to indoctrinate our children with your gay holiday. Bitch, your kids are in summer camp. So you get to enjoy our holiday with us, and you don't have those rugrats rolling around. It's perfect. So anyway, I assume if we get a good marriage equality ruling tomorrow, June 26th, that people will start calling for that to be a national gay holiday. And I'm all in favor of it. Hashtag National Gay Holiday. Free Angela Davis. Watch the Nina Simone documentary Friday night or on Netflix, and then switch over to Sci-Fi and watch Killjoys. And also wish Frank DeCaro a happy 93rd birthday. He won't be with us forever. You see how quickly people come and go around here. Thanks so much for joining me. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Waste Your Time. Like me on Facebook, Derek Hartley, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also add me to your circle on Google+. That's really a thing. It's still happening. Really.